from Wager Me This. Just got a close up of my face. Sure you guys enjoyed that. But anyways, this is Wednesdays with Wager, week number 14. Pretty good Thursday night game, which is good for us. It's nice to have a good game, even though some of the so-called bad games have been pretty good this year. Thursday's been actually pretty good overall this year. I would say. I would say it's been pretty solid. I'm gonna let a few people get in here before I start really getting into it. But Green Bay and Detroit, that's a pretty good matchup for a Thursday night. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Interesting, interesting games on Thanksgiving for sure. A lot of fun. So, yeah, just overall pretty good. Got a pretty funny Thanksgiving story. But yeah, it looks like we're starting to get some people in here. So, welcome to Wednesdays with Wager. Like I said, this is an NFL show. I give out NFL information, obviously. That's why it's called Wednesdays with Wager NFL show. I give out betting advice, sports betting advice, NFL specific. So there you go. Let's jump right into this Green Bay game. So, what we got is Green Bay versus Detroit in Detroit. This is a big game. Both teams are slated for the playoffs really right now. Both teams are pretty good football teams, pretty good quarterbacks, good coaches, good running games, good passing games. This should be a really good game. Basically, both of these teams are top 10 in everything. When you go down the list, they're basically top 10 in all the important metrics, the important statistical metrics, which is interesting. Detroit is laying 3.5 at home. It's a fuzzy. 3.5 at home is pretty standard in a game like this. The over and under is 51.5, and that makes a lot of sense, mostly because Detroit's just scored a lot of points, right? They're one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL, if not the highest scoring on average, right? What's good? Chocolate ice cream. But anyways, not CCVMK. VNMK. I don't really know what that means, but how are you doing, sir? Or ma'am, or whatever you are. But anyways, Lions are the best in the NFL. Okay, you can say that. There's nothing wrong with saying that. They have one loss to a solid football team in Tampa. Yeah, you could definitely say that. They've definitely put up the points. The defense is okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. So yeah, you could definitely make that case for sure. They're a really, really good football team. So yeah, very good football team. Do not look. Well, well, that's your name, so that's different. I'll say that. It's very different. Interesting. But so, one thing is these two teams, this is a short week. Detroit definitely had the tougher matchup. The Chicago game, Detroit, let's see what that message got held for. Wow. Yeah, we're going to let that one stay held. Steven Fells, that's not, this ain't the show for that, bro. If you want to talk like that, I'm sure there's other channels that want you to talk like that, but not this one. We're not interested in any kind of comments like that. I know no one else can see it, but the reason I got held, that ain't for me, man. And whatever, If you want to talk like that, you be you. Thanks, Daddy. So yeah, can't stop the ignorance. So this is an NFL sports show. So if you want to talk like a moron, you go be a moron somewhere else if you don't mind. So let's get into this game. This is an interesting spot. It's in Detroit, which Detroit's definitely better when they play at home. They're definitely better in their dome. wow. Oh, yeah. So, guys, please just ignore this moron. Um, I really, I really just, it's frustrating. Sorry. Let me get back to it. Um, that's, but I still like Green Bay in the spot, and the reason is because in the first game, if you guys remember, that was a 2 point football game. It was like 29-31, high scoring game, but Green Bay was definitely in the game. Now Green Bay is down two starters. They're down Jair Alexander, sorry, and Romeo Dobbs. Dobbs, I don't know how much of a big deal that is. I know he's been better of late, but as far as Jair Alexander, that's a bigger deal, right? That's a much bigger deal. God, I wish YouTube would just take care of you idiots. God, stupid people like you guys. How do I? Let me see if I can block you somehow. Right, I like that, James. That's really brilliant. So I got rid of this clown. Guys, sorry that people like that go on here. When I do these vertical lives, it gets blasted out to like every medium, every media, every. The algorithm is much larger, so a lot bigger group, more than just gamblers and sports enthusiasts see it. Sorry about that. Obviously, I have nothing to do with that. That's definitely not who I am. Anything like that. I don't talk like that. Hey, what's up, Con? That's cool. That's really cool. Um, my wife actually went to college there. One of the colleges she went to. So, but yeah, so I'm actually Green Bay plus a 3.5 here. I think both this game matters to both these teams a whole bunch, and I actually, believe it or not, I actually think Detroit's played worse the last couple weeks. I know they had them two huge blowouts, but they didn't play very well against Chicago. And against the divisional foes, they've actually struggled a little bit. They've actually had some really good games against their division, which their division is pretty good talent, a lot of talent in that division. So, not a surprise that there's a little bit of struggle there. Plus, they know each other very well. So, again, the 3.5. Now, if you're only getting the three, I'm obviously not as I don't like that as much. It's still okay. But I like the 3.5 here. I do think this could be a 3 point football game very easily. This total I'm a little leery of just because I think that this could turn into a lot of running the ball in this game. Hello, Diego one. I do think this could actually really turn into a lot of running the football, especially if Detroit has success. The one spot that the Packers are a little soft on is against the run. So I do think that we could see a lot of running the football from Detroit. And it's later in the year, guys aren't as explosive. Just as the year goes on, guys get hurt, get beat up. There's less teams are trying to take less risks, and especially a team like Detroit that's playing so well. So I actually like Green Bay plus the 3.5 here. I think that's going to be, it's at least going to be in play at the end of the game. I would rather be on the plus side, the plus 3.5, than the laying 3.5 in this one, and worrying about Green Bay going and getting a late score to cover. So I'm going to take the 3.5 points. Some of the props I like. I like the Gibbs and the Montgomery rushing yards in this one. So Montgomery is at 59.5 and Gibbs is at 68.5. Like I said, the Green Bay rush defense isn't great. It's not terrible either. It's their weakest part of their defense. So I actually like the two rushing yards for Gibbs and Montgomery. And on vice versa or flip side or whatever you want to call it, I like the Love passing yards to go over 252. I actually think that he's going to throw the ball a whole bunch in this game, and they're going to throw it all over the field. It's kind of what they do anyway. So I like Love to throw the ball a lot in this game. Over 252 passing yards doesn't seem all that crazy to me in a game that I expect to have some points in it. So, And then the two touchdown props, I like Montgomery to get in the end zone. And the reason I like Montgomery is because when they get down to the 5, they give him the football. They let him run it. So I like that one. It's at minus 165, so Vegas thinks it's going to happen too. But I like Amon-Ra St. Brown too to catch a touchdown pass. And the reason is because Goff throws him the ball in the end zone. It's just he throws the ball at him, and he's scored a touchdown in almost every game this year. Plus, at even money, he's a good bet for a touchdown. So I like Montgomery and St. Brown for touchdowns. The Packers are a little trickier. It's hard to pick one of their receivers that's going to be the touchdown maker, right? Because they use all of their guys. So it's not quite as easy. But so just to recap on this, I like Green Bay plus the 3.5. I like Montgomery over 59.5 yards. I like Gibbs over 68.5 yards. I like Love's passing yards over 252. I like Montgomery touchdown and St. Brown touchdown. So that's what I like in the Thursday game. I actually think this is going to be a great football game on a Thursday, which, believe it or not, this year we've had some really good ones, where last year they were terrible, and the year before they were really bad. Remember how bad they were? They'd be like 12 to 10 games and just horrible football games. Now, they were easy to bet on because we just kept betting the under. If you were with me then, we just kept betting the under. We just kept betting all these unders. And that's where the interception prop thing really went crazy. And we found angles in those really terrible games to make some money last year. This year's been different. There's been a lot of high-scoring games on Thursday. There's been exciting football games on Thursday. So the NFL definitely did a better scheduling job there. Or maybe the teams are just better or worse for that case, however you want to look at it. But so let's look at some Sunday plays. I actually like a handful of games on Sunday. I know I didn't put a video out for the Sunday last week because 30 was so big. If you're on my Discord, I gave you a bunch of really good bets on Sunday, so you should join my Discord if you want more plays, and it's free, guys. I don't charge anything, so you get on there with a bunch of other sports betting guys and guys that give out, like one of our guys, he put out a plus 280 hockey play today, and it hit. I mean, there's some guys on there that really know their stuff about these other sports. So you should join it. All you have to do to join is send me an email, wagermethis@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite to my Discord. It's really that simple. It's nothing else to it. And you join on there, and as long as you're not talking like that idiot that was talking on here earlier, then you're good, So let's move on to Sunday. So we have an interesting game. We have Atlanta going up to Minnesota. What makes this interesting? Well, Kirk Cousins came from Minnesota. Minnesota's laying 5.5 in this one, guys. Atlanta is free falling. Atlanta is getting worse by the week. I actually think that there will be a little juice from Cousins in this one, but it could work against him. I do think he's going to probably try to show out a little bit. That's not necessarily his demeanor, but when he gets in big situations, it comes out of him, right? We saw the thing at Washington. We saw the chain wearing and stuff. So I actually think that it could work against him, right? Minnesota intercepts a lot of footballs. So I do expect Cousins to probably throw a pick, but guys, Atlanta is getting worse. They're not getting better, and Minnesota's a really good football team. So Minnesota's laying 5.5. I'm going to take that. Minnesota laying the 5.5. I like it in the Cousins Bowl, as I'm calling it, the Kirk Cousins Bowl. I think Cousins gives the game away in that one. I just don't. I think Atlanta is progressively getting worse, and I don't think they have a stopper for it. Like, I don't think there's a way they can turn it off. They're just as good as what they're a 6-6 team. They're a 500 team, and they're going to play that way. So they're going to lose against the good teams, and they're going to beat the bad teams. And I don't mind laying this 5.5 with Minnesota. So Philly's playing Carolina, and now this spread is 12.5, 13 in some places. I don't want to touch that. But what I do like is the Philly team total. I haven't seen it yet because as far as I can tell, it's not out. But the overall total wasn't super high. So I'm expecting the team total to be like 24.5 to 26, somewhere in there. I think Philadelphia scores 4 touchdowns in that game. I don't think Carolina will be able to stop Saquon Barkley, and I think Philadelphia is trying to get Saquon Barkley an MVP. So I think the Philadelphia team total will fly over. It wouldn't surprise me if Philly's in the 30s in that game. Remember, they got to cover 12 and a half, 13, so Vegas is expecting them to put up some points. So I fully expect them to get 4 touchdowns plus. I'm going to say at least 31 points for Philadelphia in this one. So the Philadelphia team total is one of my favorite plays of the week. Another one I like is the Arizona money line at home versus Seattle. Now I know Seattle's leading that division, but Arizona really needs this game. If Arizona doesn't get this game, they're kind of in a lot of ways out of this race, I think. Over 29 and a half. Okay. Whatever I was looking at, I didn't have it up yet. So that's cool, Brian. So that's high for a team total, but it makes sense in this one. Like I said, I fully expect Philly to get in the 30s, and it's 4 touchdowns plus something. Carolina's going to give them the ball a few times. You know, they're going to fumble and interceptions and stuff. It's just who they are as a team. And Philadelphia is rocking and rolling right now. They are playing really good football right now, and Saquon Barkley is likely the MVP. So if Josh Allen doesn't get it, I think it would be Saquon Barkley. Either way, one of those two guys is likely going to get the MVP, in my opinion. So you could probably go bet both guys, and you would make money maybe. But anyways, so back to the AZ game. I just think AZ has to have this game. It's in Arizona. I think Seattle will struggle in this one versus Kyler, but it's more about Arizona needing the game. I think they're going to be far more, how do you put it, desperate in desperation mode than Seattle will. With Seattle has a little bit of a lead in that division, but I do think Arizona gets this one at home. In money line they're laying 2.5, but the game could be a 1-point game. So I'm going to take that money line. I like that. Another one I like, and this one's probably some people aren't going to like this one because the Bills are playing so well, but I actually like the Rams plus 4.5 at home. And the reason I like this is because, number one, the Bills got to go all the way to the West Coast. And the other thing is the Rams will be able to move the ball on them. They'll be able to score on Buffalo with their two receivers. Buffalo's going to have a hard time covering them. And I think that's going to keep the pressure on. Plus, let's be honest, it's hard to win in the NFL on the road, especially coast to coast. You know, if this was the other way and the Rams were going to Buffalo, I'd be all over Buffalo. But I just think there's a situational aspect here of Buffalo going west all the way across the country. It's just a different thing. You're changing things about your routine. It's a lot. It's a lot to do east to west, west to east. And the Rams are getting points at home, so that's always home dog aspect of it. I just think there's a lot of reasons to like the Rams in this one at 4.5. And Buffalo could win by 3, and you still get your money there. So I like that one. And then I like Chicago plus 4 at home versus Brock Purdy in San Francisco. I don't have any faith in San Francisco, and I definitely don't have any faith for them to cover a spread. And I like Chicago's D. I think Chicago's D keeps that game lower scoring. You know, in the teens, maybe it's 17-14 or 20-17. But I don't know that game ever really spreads out. Plus, believe it or not, Caleb Williams is playing better than he was. So I just have no faith in the 49ers right now, and I have no faith in Brock Purdy. So give me Chicago at home plus 4 points. I just think that's a solid play. Now, also you have the aspect that Chicago is playing with an interim coach now, right? And a lot of times in game one, those players kind of get up for him. We saw it at the Raiders. We just see it sometimes where the whole situational aspect of that one, you got Chicago getting some points. Just they're going to play hard for the first game, and then maybe it falls apart from there. But that first one, they're going to give effort. And plus, I do think the 49ers are reeling. As of right now, I don't think the 49ers are all that good of a football team. So They have a lot of injuries. Brock Purdy is not as good as they thought. So give me the Bears plus the 4. And then in the nightcap game, I like the Kansas City and Chargers over 43. I know that that's two defensive teams, and the first game of the year I think was a 17-10 game. But the Chargers have found their offense a little bit, and so have the Chiefs since Hopkins been there. I know people will be like, the Chiefs aren't hardly scoring any points, this and that. But the offense is there. They just haven't been getting in the end zone. And I just think 43 is really low. So, I, you know, what that's saying is that one of these teams won't get to the 20s. I actually think both of these teams get to the 20s. So it was kind of like on Monday night when they had the Browns and the Broncos at 41. It just didn't make a lot of sense. And that's kind of where I'm at in this one. I think this 43 just doesn't make all that much sense. So, yeah, absolutely. But I just don't think this one makes very much sense. It's similar to that Broncos game, where it's two good defenses. And like I said, in the Broncos game, sometimes that leads to points. And it did in the Broncos game, right? There was two pick sixes. And it was only a 41 total. Well, you got 14 of them right there. And I think this has that same aspect to it. Now, I don't necessarily think there'll be a bunch of pick sixes or anything because this is two good quarterbacks. But I do think both of them will probably throw an interception. And I do think that because both run defenses are pretty good, that these guys are going to have to throw the football, which does two things. It lengthens the game and opens it up for like the one play touchdown stuff. So I just think that total's too low at 43. I mean, guys, that's only a 23-20 game. That's very, very reasonable in here in this game. Most likely, we see one team get to 24. And Kansas City could lose this game. I know Kansas City's only one loss, and a lot of people would think they should probably have 6 losses. I don't think that. I think what happens for the most part. But because you could say that about Detroit too. Detroit had a bunch of close wins that they could have lost those games. But do I think Detroit? No, they earned all their wins as well. I know Kansas City's are a little more highlighted because it's been blocked kicks at the end of the games. That weird thing that happened in the Raiders game, So just definitely more questionable, I guess you could say. But I think that game goes over. I don't think that one stays under. And I actually don't even think it's. I actually think this could be close by halftime. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the score was like 14-14 at the half. I know the Chiefs have been kind of bad in the first half this year. But I actually think that's going to turn around. I actually think now that Pacheco's back, I actually think that that's going to start changing. They're going to start scoring more points. I know I've been saying that for a few weeks, but and Hopkins is getting more acclimated. I actually think this offense is going to start turning into what we're going to see in the playoffs. And the Chiefs are going to be a really hard team to beat, guys, in the playoffs. If you're going into these playoffs expecting the Chiefs to get knocked out in the first round or the second round, I wouldn't expect that, especially because they're either going to have the 1 or the 2 seed, and they're just probably not going to lose in the first or the second round. They're probably going to be in the FC title game, and there's no reason to think they won't. Since under Mahomes, they've made the FC title game every year, so there's no real reason to think they won't this year. And I fully expect them to be there. So again, that's just me giving you guys an idea why I tend to always kind of side with the Chiefs. It's history. It's what we've seen for the last 6 years is that they just don't lose the big games in the playoffs. They lose a few in the regular season here and there, but they just don't lose the games in the playoffs. They just make better decisions. They're just better at situational football. They have the best player. They have the best coach. So, I mean, it's just don't expect them to lose early. If you're making future bets on there, I would bet them to at least make the AFC title game. Maybe they don't make the Super Bowl. Maybe Buffalo knocks them off or something. But I expect them to be there. So keep that in mind, that we've never seen a Mahomes team not make it at least that far. So in one way, you could explain his seasons as his season doesn't start till the AFC title game. So he's either lost in that game and went to and didn't go to the Super Bowl, or went to that game, won and went to the Super Bowl. That's in his whole career. That's all he's ever done, except for year one when he didn't play. But so don't expect anything different with a great defense and an offense that is starting to form and come around. And like we saw last year, when the chips are down and the games matter and it's only one and done, they really turn it on. So expect to start seeing some of those signs. And against the Chargers, a team that they like to beat, and they beat up on the division, the Chiefs do. I think they've only lost 4 or 5 times since Mahomes' era to their division, which means they're probably going to win this game too. But anyways, just to recap, let's recap these Sunday picks. I like Mahomes minus, not Mahomes, Minnesota minus 5.5 in the Cousins Bowl. I like Philly team total. Burns said it was 29.5. That's fine. I think they're going to get to 31 at least. I like the Arizona money line. I like the Rams plus 4.5. I like Chicago plus 4. And I like the Chargers and Kansas City to go over 43. Again, if you didn't hear Thursday's plays, I like Green Bay plus 3.5. Montgomery over 59.5 yards. Gibbs over 68.5 yards. Love over 252 passing yards. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, TD. And Montgomery, a TD. So that's what I like, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for entertaining my channel and all that goes into it. Even the morons that want to talk stupid stuff. Appreciate you. I figured out how to block them or whatever, which is good because no one wants to see that crap. So anyways, guys, thank you for your time. You guys have a great night. This is Jacob from Winter Me This.